Want to break down on some of the latest topics from college to the pros? We interview many individuals to share their knowledge about the news stories surrounding the teams and its players. This is Nothing But That Sports Talk. And welcome to Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison. Our very special guest is right here. Finally, somebody different. Tell your name and what you do.
Of course. So, hi, everyone. I'm Erika Fernandez. I have been working in sports for, my goodness, almost 7 years now. And I currently am writing for Black Sports Online. But even though sports is at a standstill, we got to still fight through and find some sort of coverage in this mess.
Okay. Talk about Black Sports Online for a little bit.
For sure. Well, my journey to Black Sports Online was very interesting. I actually used to own a website by the name of geeksandcleats.com. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it was a mix of both geeky content and sports content. But unfortunately, my former partner and I, there was a lot of family issues. So she unfortunately kind of just, when the website kind of went down, he said, well, do you want to join in on Black Sports Online? So I said, of course, any opportunity right now to get my name out there, to learn more and to be able to just interact more with people, for sure I'm going to take it. And that led me also to work with DAZN. So with DAZN, I was unfortunately laid off a couple months ago, and it was such a great experience. So it's interesting to see how, because of the power of social media, I was able to make these connections and still making connections, and you never know where my next opportunity will appear itself.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you've been involved with a lot of sports, especially since there's nothing going on. I mean, I said that in the past couple of episodes, but you know what? We just got to keep on progressing in what we're doing. Like,
I agree.
What went through your mind when you decide to have no sports going on because of everything?
To be honest with you, I was at a standstill, and I said, wow, there's nothing for us to really talk about, except I don't know if you tuned in last night to the 2K
Yeah, the
tourney
NBA
that they
2K
had.
League. I saw that one. Come on, I'm a diehard NBA 2K fan, so you need to be asking that question. And most of the higher seeds of the tournament got knocked out. Kevin Durant lost, and I was actually going to get into that anyway. Like, what are your impressions of the NBA 2K League?
Yeah, for sure. Well, to answer your first question, it was weird at first, but at the same time, I think that the league took the smartest. Leagues did the smartest decision. And obviously started with NBA, MLB announced, NHL, soccer, the Olympics, Wimbledon's canceled. I think the only hope right now is U.S. Open, but I'm feeling that they're probably going to cancel that soon, considering they're using the U.S. Open, the Billie Jean Center, for COVID patients in New York City. So I feel like that announcement's coming on soon. Like, boxing is at a standstill. So it was a very weird time. We're watching highlights, and even then, that's not really making, our thirst for sports really come alive. I feel like people are still wanting, I know that ESPN has that, the old school schedule. Like on Tuesday, they had the 9/11 game with the Mets and the Braves, and then it's like every single thing. But now there's not much sports content going out there, except, obviously today was a Hall of Fame announcement, but usually that's in June. So it's like they're trying to give us some sort of content to keep things going. So I think the only way you could just say it just sucks all around. But we're just praying that it doesn't really hit a lot more people than it already has. Like, these numbers are just getting out of hand. But to answer your second question, the tournament was interesting. I'm not a 2K player, so this is probably why I'm like, but I feel like it was something to give the fans to look forward to. I feel like the trash talk could have probably been a little bit more there. We saw that with Patrick Beverley, which was really dope. Like, he got into it, and I love seeing the videos of him. Kevin Durant, of course, was criticizing the hell out of the game, which is really great to see. Like, he was pointing out all the flaws in 2K and stuff that I learned, because I'm not a 2K player, so I can't really say, I know what the cheat codes are. And if anything, to me, I would have been like, throw on some Mario Kart. Let's spice it up a bit. But I think that the next levels would be interesting to see where they take it to.
Yeah, and it's also good to see the actual NBA players get involved in a video game tournament, just to entertain people that's been actually suffering through all this nonsense of not having any sports going on. And, well, okay, from what I understand, you're a diehard baseball fan, and you're a diehard Mets fan.
Unfortunately.
How is it like being a diehard Mets fan? Especially when you guys were runner-up in the 2015 World Series for the Kansas City Royals. What was your experience like back then?
Oh, for sure. Well, it's funny because I think about it all the time. Like, SNY has been playing a lot of Mets classics from the 2015 season. So I said, man, I don't even want to watch this, but it's like we were right there. We were so close. Like, and then the same thing you could think about the 2006 season. Like, that was the dream team. Like, that was supposed to happen. But my issues with this team definitely comes from my brother. He used to babysit me and my brother, and me and my younger brother. And he said, all right, so I have to babysit you guys, so you're going to park right there next to me and watch these Mets games. So this is the reason why I'm an unfortunate Mets fan. But it's been hard to kind of support the team along with ownership, seeing how things are going. I'm sure you're paying attention to what's been going a lot lately.
Yeah, the Wilpons keep messing up the team.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you. I don't know. But they frustrate me the most in 06 when they were just a game away from making it to the World Series and they lost to the St. Louis Cardinals despite the fact that Andy Sanchez pulled off a ridiculous leaping catch to block a home run. Let's look back at it.
Scott Rowland. And Scott Rowland hits one into deep left field. Back at the wall. A leap. And a catch. Andy Chavez takes a home run away and turns it into a double play. Unbelievable. Wow. Have you ever seen better?
Andy Chavez's catch brings back a lot of memories.
It does.
Yeah. But what was your favorite play for the 06 season? It obviously has to be the walk-off home run from Carlos Beltran in a regular season game against these same Cardinals earlier that season.
I would say I definitely agree with that, but to be honest with you, the 06, there's so many good memories because that team was just all in it. From Carlos Delgado, like the pitching was great. Oh my God, I just can't even pinpoint one memory from that season. I think the one that hurts obviously the most is just going down on 3 strikes. But whatever, it is what it is. Can't control the past.
Yeah, that was actually when I started getting into baseball back then. And well, in the next couple of years, I was like, you know what? We're gonna win the World Series this time. We started off, and then we took to the Phillies 2 years in a row.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Phillies. It is. It's fine. I'm happy they beat them in 2009. That's all that matters.
Yeah, the same Phillies that picked up Bryce Harper, who left the Washington Nationals just for them to win a championship.
It's crazy how the world works. I still think about that and then seeing how that team was amazing. Like, I can't even hate on the Nationals. Like, they did their thing, and it was such a good series. They deserved it 100%.
Yeah, they deserved it. I mean, I talked about it with Monica McNutt. If you don't know who she is, she's the co-host for MSG 150, and she does commentary for Fox Sports and ACC Network. You got to look back at the interview where I talked about the Nationals with her back in October, November-ish. So, yeah, you got to look back at that interview. And also, you got to remind yourself that this would have been the first couple weeks of baseball season. What is your favorite memories of opening day for the New York Mets?
Well, to be honest with you, it's funny because they kind of have a good record considering that it's always opening day. They usually win. So that's a little bit on the ironic side considering how their season ends up going around June, July, and August. It just trickles down. But I would say my favorite memory is I had tickets for opening day, and a friend of mine couldn't go with me. So I said, you know what, let me ask my brother. Might as well see if he's free. That day doesn't work. So he said, yeah, I'm off that day. I'm totally down. So it was a really great experience to see it. You know, obviously the person who put me on to the Mets to experience the opening day game. So that was really dope. Like, he got all into it, cursing up a storm. You already know how it is. Like, people in baseball games, I feel like that's the perfect place to take anyone with anger issues, get it all out of your system, curse whoever you want out. But that was probably my favorite memory.
Yeah. The funny thing is, the Mets have a crazy record in opening day games, but they
do
always end up stinking it up the rest of the way. But speaking of New York Mets, Noah Syndergaard, a.k.a. Thor, is out for another season. What else is new? The injury bug always haunts the New York Mets.
It's unfortunate. I didn't even see that coming. When I saw the news, I said, wait, let me refresh, let me Google, let me just double check. And when it crossed the board, when it was obviously confirmed across the board with a whole bunch of other outlets, I said, all right, well, let me just sit in peace. It's fine because there's probably not going to be any baseball. if I'm going to be baseball for 2 months, if that, at this point.
Yeah, although I did hear that they might bring it back in June, but with the pandemic going on, we never know how worse or better it's going to get. Even though
I agree.
more people did survive and more people died, but you know what?
Yeah.
I don't really want to.
It's a good stat to bring up constantly because, like, we're obsessed with. Like, I know I have been obsessing with seeing the numbers. Like, I was reading an article yesterday that Spain has over 10,000 deaths. The death toll in Italy, the death toll in China, and then it's only a matter of time till those numbers come back to the city, which is unfortunate. But like you said, we got to look at the bright side. More people are recovering than dying from this. So it's a good point what you said.
Yeah, and if you follow the NBA, you notice that we talked about the 2K League. You talked about Kobe Bryant passing away earlier, and now we're going to talk about him along with Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett, the greatest players during the 2000s in their prime. Yeah, Tamika Catchings too. What are you thinking about them being nominated in the Hall of Fame? Or should I say, in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, for sure. Well, Tim Duncan it's my favorite player of all time. So I'm a big Spurs fan. Not a lot of people know this, or they probably don't even pay attention because I cover the Knicks. So that's a whole nother story. But I think this class is stacked. It's beautiful to see the recognition there, and it's just going to be so sad because Kobe's speech would have been like monumental, would have been tear-jerkers and everything across the board. But it's just so unfortunate. I'm wondering if it's going to be his wife delivering the speech. Is it going to be a former player? Is it going to be a group of people? And kind of sort of they're going to make the speech come alive or something like that. So I'm wondering like what the plans are for September. And even if it's still on for September at this point. Like, are they going to push it back to end of September, right before this preseason, if that's what they're still envisioning? So it's just going to be messed up all around. But I'm sure you saw the funeral. Not really funeral, more like the remembrance that they did back in February.
Who didn't see the remembrance?
Exactly.
Shaq, Michael Jordan, the guy that Kobe Bryant compares to so many times.
Yeah.
Vanessa Bryant, all the players that spoke were in tears. And then earlier in the month, LeBron James was like, in Kobe Bryant's words, Mamba out, but to us, never forgotten. LeBron James showed how much it meant for him to compete against Kobe Bryant. Even though they never played in the NBA Finals Series altogether, they played each other how many times in the regular season?
I agree.
But some of our best games from Kobe Bryant versus LeBron James is actually coming from Kobe Bryant's game winner in 06, or the games where they duke it out in 2008, where LeBron literally had his way with Kobe Bryant.
The 2000s were amazing from NBA. It was beautiful. I love seeing those highlights. Like, you just see there was not as many fouls, not many regulations, so people were just really all in it. Not as many injuries as well, so it's something else to even consider.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Duncan made the San Antonio Spurs one of those teams that you love to hate.
Yes,
even I wanted Tim Duncan to lose when I was a teenager because, like, I was just so annoyed that the Spurs were. I'm a Nets and Knicks fan. Thank you very much. And the Spurs beat both the franchises. Thank you very much. I was even annoyed when Avery Johnson hit the game-winning shot, even though I wasn't watching at the time. But you know what? Avery Johnson was one of the players that helped Tim Duncan make that Spurs championship and starting out Tim Duncan's career, along with David Robinson, who was one of the few guys to have a quadruple double.
It was honestly like I'm happy that thankfully that's not the team right now. I'm sorry. I'm happy that's I'm so sorry. I'm really, really happy that at least for the most part is good memories that I have from NBA, and I can't even imagine like what Knicks fans are going through because at least I could say that I have 5 championships in my lifetime. But Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Tamika Catchings, like that Hall of Fame, obviously Kobe Bryant, that Hall of Fame class is going to be, it's amazing. It's really great to see the recognition go across the board.
Exactly.
And and I feel like in a sense, like, they were always in the shadows when obviously there was so much recognition, but you could probably even say that they were underrated to a certain extent because no one really kept them in their eye. Everyone was worried about the bigger stars, but yet they still were doing their thing in the season. Yeah,
Tim Duncan was no joke throughout the 2000s. Well, why don't you name 3 of your best plays with Tim Duncan? Like, your favorite Tim Duncan plays or performances in his career.
I can't even label to begin. Damn, that's a lot. Because I've literally been just, damn, you kind of stumped me. I would say my favorite one, I can only name one because, like, right now, like, that's the one that I've been seeing recently, only because of Kobe's influence. But That moment when he beat the Cavaliers in I forgot what year it was.
Oh,
And then
07.
Thank you.
Come
and
on.
He grabbed,
How can you forget they
exactly. He
sweep the
grabbed LeBron.
Cavaliers
And he's like,
in LeBron's first year?
Yeah, he's like, this league is gonna be yours. Like, that was so beautiful to see, considering his career was only 10 years in, more or less. So that was great to see. So that's probably my favorite moment because he's such a humble guy. He's very much down to earth, and you see his involvement now alongside the assistant coach Becky Hamels. Like, it's great to see that they're all working in a team. That's who he's always been. So I think that that's probably my favorite Tim Duncan moment of all time.
Yeah, but obviously my favorite Tim Duncan moment of all time was the game-tying three-pointer against Steve Nash's and Amari and Shaquille O'Neal Phoenix Suns in 2008.
Raja Bell will be aware of that. They give it back to Ginobili. Nash all over him. O'Neal with the help. Takes it to the basket. Duncan, a three-pointer. Puts it up. It's good! Tim Duncan from three-point land ties the game! Well, I foul on the dribble as soon as Ginobili catches it now. But you tell how great a coach Greg Popovich is. This is a set play. Tim Duncan above the three-point arc. Ginobili delivers the ball, and Duncan in rhythm knocks down the game-tying three. Now, a key element for San Antonio with only 3 seconds remaining.
You know what? When I look back at plays like that, it really defines the type of guy Tim Duncan is. I did not expect him to hit that three-pointer in overtime against the Suns back then. That was back when the Suns had Shaquille O'Neal, when he was in the last couple of years of his career. And you mean to tell me you still couldn't beat Tim Duncan back then? At least they were able to sweep him in the 2010 playoffs. But back when they were just so stacked.
It did, yeah. And it just
you see
really
that with Manu and Parker.
Yeah.
I mean, Duncan wasn't the MVP when they won it all in 07, but you know what? Tony Parker was all over the place, and Robert Horry was being the crutch in for that team. He couldn't hit the clutch three-pointer that put the Spurs up by 4 against these Nuggets. Like, I don't know, man. That decade, the Lakers, the Nuggets,
literally,
the Lakers didn't hold their own against any of those teams.
I agree.
But
that was a great moment. I want to say I know that people always reminisce on the 90s basketball and, looking at the dynasties that started, but to me, maybe because I remember more growing up. I can't remember 90s basketball, and I was a kid, so I can't remember that well. But 2000s, that decade it's forever in my brain, just seeing the grit of it. I love it.
Yeah. And when I started watching Kevin Garnett, I wasn't really thinking much of it because when I started watching it in 06, that was back when the two rules were just not so great, but they had that one man in Kevin Garnett who just made him a force for all the weaker teams, including the New York Knicks.
And he talks so much trash, and I love it.
And he gets in there, this man. In their head. I love it. And then when he came to Boston, I was like, oh yeah, it's going down. Boston got this championship, and they pulled it off.
They did.
That incredible layup in the NBA Finals. That guy Shaquille O'Neal said, "Oh, Kobe, you can't do it without me."
Major throwback right there, almost 20 years ago. Crazy how time flies by.
Yeah, you know what? When he came to the Brooklyn Nets, I was hoping he helped Brooklyn get in, along with Paul Pierce.
I think everyone did.
But then again, he was in the last couple of years of his career, so I couldn't really expect much from Kevin Garnett.
And considering how much of the Nets lost, and then now seeing years later the trades and everything that happened, was it really worth it? Probably not.
Even after a block by Paul Pierce that he pulled off against Kyle Lowry in the playoffs in 2014, that was one of his favorite moments of his career. Paul Pierce should be a Hall of Famer too, but that's in the next couple of years, so yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's in the next couple of years.
But what are your favorite plays, or at least one favorite plays from Kevin Garnett's career? Because he's done a lot.
To be honest with you, I can't even pinpoint one. There's just so many memories. Again, I feel damn. But I go back to, I love his energy on the court, and he just talks so much trash. So I think that embodies me, because I love to talk trash. I don't know why. Maybe my Napoleon complex is I'm 5'4", but I think that's probably one characteristic of him that I would love to pinpoint. He's very much he gets in your head, he messes with you, and you could see how it's affected other players. So there's no one. It's crazy because I think maybe now we might be seeing that with Patrick Beverley, and that would be great to see that a little bit more, because to see a little more of that aggressive verbal behavior as opposed to just, kind of like Melo, where he's just no, I got this ish. But Kevin Garnett was way more than that.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett was a mentor to a lot of young players, even though
Yeah.
he had that one moment where he told Carmelo Anthony, "Why you white chase like Honey Nut Cheerios?"
I still can't believe it, and I'll never forget the headlines that happened that day. I'm just saying, I'm just gonna click on them and read them all because that was a great day for NBA, for NBA drama. Let me be more specific.
Yeah, you can't even get over the fact. I mean, even though Carmelo Anthony did defeat that team later that season, and what was his only series win against a Kevin Garnett led team,
Yep.
Kevin Garnett just had an incredible Hall of Fame career. Forget the fact he only had one championship compared to Tim Duncan
That's
and
what's
Kobe Bryant.
unfortunate. Yeah.
Forget the fact that
Yep.
he only had one championship. He had a hell of a career.
I agree.
Now, on to a much better topic. Tamika Catchings. What are your impressions about Tamika Catchings during her career since she's in the Hall of Fame as well?
Honestly, I just think it's so much more of a, like, you just think that they're not even pioneers at this point. Like, they're beyond that. Like, there should be another word for what they've done, especially for women's sports, influencing women's sports. And I feel like this is where it's unfortunate, not to bring it back to Kobe, but I feel like his daughter entering the league in what would have been like 5-6 years, more like 7 if anything. She was 13, unfortunately. I feel like that would have been such a big influence, and it would have dragged a lot more. Like, we lost someone that was huge, a huge advocate for women's sports. So to see her get that recognition, I'm sure she's going to probably chime in on it when her time comes to give her Hall of Fame speech. But I just love to see. It's unfortunate also that the draft was postponed next week, and they were talking about actually, not the draft was postponed. The start of the league in May was postponed. So at this point, it just, we were holding on to that little bit of hope that some sort of basketball was going to be able to be played, but probably not. So it's just great to see a lot of women get that recognition, especially, like, it's tough to get into a men's space, being a woman of color, getting into working with basketball and everything. Like, I can honestly say, like, my biggest allies have always been the Black community, and I love it. This is why I always make sure to reciprocate that love back, support whoever it is, because we all got to support each other. So to see Tamika in that space, it's great for me to see, like, she's a woman, she's doing her thing, she's Black, get it. You earned it. You deserve every single bit of that recognition.
Tamika Catchings brought some serious plays. I mean, well, you can't. It's tough to remember everything she did, but you can remember the fact that she made the Indiana Fever one of the top teams in the WNBA back in her time.
I agree. Yeah, like, people. One of my former colleagues years ago, she was one of the first people to buy Liberty season tickets, and I remember I was asking her, I'm like, so what are the prices like? How does that even work? Because the schedule's a little bit on the weird side. Like, there's classes. There's games at around 11 a.m. So I said, how do you make those games? She's like, well, I try to raffle them off to the kids, so the kids get to experience women's basketball as well, since they're off during the summer. So I said, wow, that's so admirable. Like, you're trying to get more involved, and somehow, even though it's coming out of your pocket, you're still trying to influence others around you. So it's just great to see what the WNBA influence has been, and you never know, it's just going to get bigger.
And the WNBA has influenced a lot of younger women's basketball, even the ones that might not have gotten to touch the basketball after they were done playing ball. Like, women's sports is all around, not just on the court, but on the broadcast booth.
I agree. Breaking those barriers somehow.
And on that note, we come to an episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for stopping by, Erika.
Thank you so much. Stay safe, and I know that, we got to use technology somehow. I know we wanted to do this in person, but this is great, got to use technology and leverage it at our finest.
And to all the ballers out there, get your head in the game and stay safe.